if you want to be the best version of yourself, you should get in the cold water. And it doesn't matter who you are, what you do, what stage of life you're in, the cold water will bring out the best version of yourself.
What's up, Growth House family? Welcome to the Growth House podcast. I am your host, as always, Jesse Ray. I have my friend Adam Smith in the building, in the studio. How you doing, Adam?
I'm doing well. Thanks, Jesse. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be part of this conversation today.
Absolutely. And I literally told you, like, we need to start recording. We were starting to talk for like 5, 6, 7 minutes. I'm like, Adam, this is amazing. Like, let's just go for it. So this is going to be a special episode. This is highlighting you and your company, which we'll dive into. And the reason why I want to do this is because you guys were the Immersion 2 sponsor. Immersion Season 2, you guys came out, brought your Cold Plunge, and I was just telling you all the fun things that we were able to do and how I felt like we were going to be missing something if we didn't have that Cold Plunge, man. Like I told you, I'll recap real quick for the audience, but we did intros in the Cold Plunge. So people would come to Immersion and then be like, all right, guys, 2 people in the Cold Plunge, and beforehand they would have to get to know each other and then introduce each other to the group. So that was a fun exercise that we did. And then also once we had like a really good session, everyone would go outside, get in the Cold Plunge and do 45 seconds of, hey, shout out one person that you're grateful for and learn something from. And then number 2, what was your main takeaway from the day? And all those little like kind of fun games that we played while being in the Cold Plunge was just incredible. So Adam, I just want to say again, thank you for being that Immersion Season 2 sponsor.
Yeah, no, I love it. And as you were telling that story, I love it because, when people get in the cold water, it's such a difficult experience and you get so focused on you and your breath and just, kind of getting through that extreme challenge. And so having conversations like that, introductions or talking about your key takeaways, it's such a good way for people to kind of show their raw, authentic, version of themselves. So I love the fact that you guys were doing that. That's super cool to see.
Absolutely, man. It's so funny because as you're saying that, I'm like realizing Adam might be looking at me like, well, that's not the usual form of, why we cold plunge.
You know what? People cold plunge for all different reasons. And that's you've probably seen like the Kevin Hart the viral videos where he was interviewing you, right? Yeah. People do it for millions of different reasons. And, people always ask us like, hey, what are the benefits of cold plunging? The list is endless. And being able to sit in the cold water and have a conversation with someone or do introductions with someone, you're so much more focused and present that you're only focusing on what people are telling you at that point in your breath. And so, I think that's awesome.
That's so true. I actually never even thought about that. When you're already having to like combat your mind, like to settle down, and then also you have to is extremely focused on what someone is saying or what you're saying. Like that's so true about that cold plunge. I love that. Okay, yeah. Let's start here, man. I got into cold plunging, whatever you would call it, about 3 years ago. And the reason I did it was really not for any of the health benefits, which I want you to talk about. But the reason I just fell in love with cold plunging, especially in the morning, was what's something hard I can do when I wake up? So the rest of the day, it sets the tone. Like the hardest thing I would do would be jumping in that freezing cold water. Mm-hmm. And then the rest of the day, I'm like, if I could do that at 5 o'clock in the morning, all these little tasks that I have, all these little challenges just seem so small compared to something that I did not want to do every single morning, but still did. So that was my thing. It was more mental. But Adam, break down how you got involved with cold plunging. We'll talk about your company, but right now, just kind of what's the mindset for you and the reason why you decided to, become someone who did cold plunges?
Yeah, I used to cold plunge. I played soccer in college, and I remember, 15 years ago after practice jumping in an ice bath. And at the time, I didn't think anything of it, but I knew it was a way for me to physically recover after a hard, grueling practice and be able to prepare myself for tomorrow's practice and the next practice, right? And so I've been in cold water historically, and but didn't think much of it. And then fast forward to about 2.5 years ago, my wife and I, at the time, were working on a business plan to open up a wellness and recovery facility, which we've since opened up, and that business is doing well. we knew one of the main things that we wanted to offer was a cold plunge. And so we wanted to offer cold plunging just because we knew the benefits of it, knew, kind of what it does to people. One of the first things we did was went out and purchased a quote unquote commercial grade cold tub in the market. And at the time, there was only a few key players in the cold tub space. And so we went out, spent $20,000 and bought what we thought was a good commercial grade tub and brought it home. And it was summertime here in Arizona. And it struggled just with my wife and I using it. And so, I've always been a super handy man, and looked at it and was like, you know what, I'm just going to build a couple super high performing tubs that we can have at our wellness facility, that can perform, that can keep temperature, with back to back usage and look good and look clean and keep the water clean. And so that's what we did. We basically built two tubs, and actually one of those two tubs we still have in operation 2.5 years later at our wellness facility. We since swapped one out because we've upgraded models. We have a new model now of cold tub that we've rolled out. But so that was kind of the start of it. And so going through that process, I realized that I had built something pretty special and unique in the marketplace, and just again built it with the idea of built in Arizona for Arizona. We needed something that was super high performing. And so 2.5 years ago, I still have the same one in my backyard, and it is, it's a game changer. Having one at your house and being able to get in it, whether it's the morning first thing, and a lot of people do it first thing in the morning because they do like that, hey, this is going to be the hardest thing I do throughout the day. I personally like to do it at the end of the day. And to me, it's a great way for me to mentally kind of settle everything down, forget about all the stresses throughout the day, cool my body off, focus on my breath, and it helps me sleep better at night. So that's why I like to do it at night. But yeah, so that's kind of how the business started. We got a little lucky with a couple people, early buyers of our tubs, had some pretty good, following, social media followings, and they could help promote us. And we organically grew the business. Up until about a year ago, we literally had spent $0 on marketing and just relied on a quality product, top quality product, and great customer service and support to all of our customers. And, our customers love our product. They love the tubs. They love cold plunging in general. So they help spread the word. And, we always say, even to this day, every one tub that we can get out in the marketplace is an opportunity for us to reach a new micro audience, because the first thing anyone does when they get their tub, they go and post it on their Instagram. And that micro, whether they have 300 followers or 5,000 followers or 150,000 followers, that's a new audience for us. And so, we love just getting tubs in the marketplace, working with people and doing a good job with the product again, and kind of holding their hands along the way with any questions or support that they may need. So
who are your typical clients? I mean, I'm guessing a lot of athletes, but then also just a lot of, business professionals, entrepreneurs. Kind of like, tell me who are some people that like to buy the tubs?
Yeah, I would say it's everybody. We just delivered a tub a couple days ago to a husband and wife in their 70s. And they're inflamed, they're stressed, they're tired, and they're using it as a way to just feel better. And they've heard of all the benefits. But obviously, yes, the athletes get it. A lot of gym goers, like to do it as a way of physical recovery. But we have a lot of, 9 to 5 stressed out parents, and they come home after a stressful day of work, and they use their tub as kind of a way to kind of re-energize after their day of work, to go home, and spend time with their family and their kids and wife. And, and so I would say the buyer is kind of anybody and everybody. And I like to say this too. It's like, if you want to be the best version of yourself, you should get in the cold water. And it doesn't matter who you are, what you do, what stage of life you're in, the cold water will bring out the best version of yourself. And so everybody, and whether, if people haven't tried it, they just have to give it a try. And they have to do a legit, stay in for a few minutes, get your body down to a shiver state, and then feel how your body responds after that. And you will be hooked. I think Joe Rogan was talking about it at one point. If they could create a pill that gave you the same benefits and the same feeling of what you feel like when you get out of the cold water, that would be by far the most sold pill of all time. And it's true. It's the endorphin rush that you get, and how good you feel physically and mentally after you get out of the cold water. It's addicting. And it's a good addiction, because it's your body doing what it's supposed to do, and it's helping your body heal. So.
So we've talked about, it helps with people who are inflamed or, post workout. For me, a lot of mental, just kind of setting the tone for the start of the day. What other benefits? Like, let's actually get scientifically, I'm someone that's like a golden retriever, so dumb it down for me. But at the same time, let's go into like the actual like real benefits that most people kind of skip over.
Yeah, and I'm not the science guy either. I know how I feel, and I know how our customers feel just from testimonials. People ask us a lot, like, "Hey, is this just a fad?" And my response to that all the time is, I've been doing it 2.5 years, almost every single day, and the feeling I get when I get out of the tub today is the same amazing adrenaline rush, endorphin rush feeling as I did the first time I did it. So I don't think it's a fad. I think it's just a matter of time until everybody has cold plunges at their house, just like hot tubs and saunas and all that kind of stuff. And so, but that being said, I'm not the science guy. I know what it does for me. So yeah, you mentioned, obviously there's huge physical recovery benefits. It's going to help with inflammation. We have a lot of people that tell us, they've been chronically pained in their knees or joints or whatever it may be. And after implementing cold therapy, they feel better and almost no pain at all, or their back doesn't hurt anymore. And so, yeah, there's a huge physical recovery tool or aspect to it as well. The mental side of it, like you said, a lot of people love to get in first thing in the morning because it is going to be the most challenging thing that you experience throughout the day. If you have to make a difficult phone call later on, that's going to be nothing compared to jumping in cold water at 5 a.m. And so you get that. It's also a huge mood booster, and I know personally for me, if I'm frustrated, stressed, irritable, whatever it may be, I'll go jump in the water for literally 2 minutes, and I'll get out, and it will be like a completely fresh start to the day. Clear mindset, and you just feel fantastic afterwards, and you're not stressed and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of that too, the mood boost, the endorphin rush that you get. And then I'd say kind of the last major one is the sleep quality. Almost unanimously, everybody that implements cold water comments about how much better sleep they're getting, the quality of sleep they're getting, whether they do the cold plunge in the morning or at night. It's amazing what it does. And I don't know the science behind why. I just know that people sleep significantly better after starting cold water. So, but again, the list is endless. I mean, I feel like it fixes everything. I know there's people with lots of different autoimmune diseases implementing cold water, and it's supposed to be helping. There's a lot that cold water can do. So
You know what? At the end of the day, science can show us all these reasons why it's amazing, but the reality is, how do people feel afterwards? And so the testimonials, I think, even speak louder than the science behind everything.
yeah,
So I want to also let people know, like, we've all seen the blow up cold tubs. This is not that. Like, I wish we could like pop up a picture of it. This is a sexy, sleek, commercial grade. Like, this is like honestly the best cold plunge I've ever seen, especially like in the market where it's affordable that people can have these in their homes. It's incredible. So what are some of the reasons why it makes more sense for people to look at a cold tub like you have versus one of those just like blow up ones that potentially might, pop?
yeah. It's funny you say that because when we started the company 2.5 years ago, we were one of maybe I don't know 5 or 6 different cold plunge companies in the market. If you do a Google search now on cold tubs, there's literally probably thousands of different brands selling cold tubs. 98% of them are literally just drop shipped straight from overseas. And that's not the space we want to play in. We've tested products like that. They're just not, they don't follow with what our brand stands for. And our brand stands for quality and great customer support. At the end of the day, all these cold tubs, whether it's ours, whether it's whatever, one of those inflatables, there's a lot of mechanical components to them. And when you implement a lot of different mechanical components, there's going to be issues. And so, we like to say, control what you can control. One thing we can control is how we interact with our customers, especially if there's an issue. We always do what's right for the customer. We want to make sure that their tub is always in operation, or as in operation as quickly as possible if there is an issue. And so that's one of our philosophies. So when people are shopping around for different cold plunges, we're not the cheapest, but I feel like we are extremely competitively priced for the quality product that you get. Buy once, cry once, right? And if you're going to buy something of this value, and we have a model that starts at about $3,500. We just rolled out, and our models go all the way up to about $9,000. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money for a lot of people, and and so somebody could go buy a product that's a little bit less expensive, maybe $2,000 for somewhat of an equivalent product. The problem with those cheaper models is they're going to break down. And from what we've heard from our customers who had those previous models, there's no recourse on the back end. There's no support. They may have a warranty, but if that business is no longer around, the warranty doesn't really mean anything. And so, we tell people all the time, like, hey, come, our product is the absolute highest quality build. We have cherry picked top of the line components throughout the entire build. If you look at our plumbing schematic, for example, we're using the same stuff that an underground pool is built with. And we do that because we know if we can sell a tub with high quality, we're not going to have a lot of support or a lot of issues on the back end. And so we can just focus more on growing the business and not having to work on with customers on the back end fixing problems. And so that's kind of why we take that, like, let's just build the highest quality product and we won't have as much back end stuff that we have to deal with. And so, buy once, cry once, buy a high quality product. And you could apply that to really any high value item you want to buy, right? I mean, if you want to go cheap, you can buy cheap, but it's not going to last. If you want to spend a little bit more money, buy something that's going to last. And, that's kind of the deal. A quick story is, we actually just delivered a tub to, I'm not going to say his name because I don't think I can, but he's a Hall of Famer, played for retired as a Cardinal, played with the Houston Texans for a while, super good dude. He was given a couple free, he was given the big brand name Cold Plunge when they, initially, that tub didn't last and it didn't last. And then, so he was given then another tub from one of his buddies who started a cold tub company. And same deal. He had it for about 6 months. He said it had 6 catastrophic issues. And so he could never go out and rely on his tub to be cold and clean. And he got frustrated. So he went to his pool guy and was like, hey, dude, I need a tub that's literally just like that I can rely on. That's going to be cold and clean and always be available. And his pool guy, who services some other athletes who have our tubs, was like, hey, dude, I service all these different athletes. I've seen every single cold tub in the marketplace. Hands down, I would go with the Regen tub because that thing is solid. I have had literally 0 issues with that tub. And so he came to our site, literally bought the product, didn't even ask for a discount, like just wanted to have a product. And so we went out there and delivered it a couple weeks ago. Actually, it's been a few months now at this point. And I check in with the pool guy all the time. I'm like, hey, how's it going? He's like, dude, he is pumped because it is clean, it is cold. And it survived, July and August and September, the hardest months, I think in history of our state. And he's like, dude, this thing is sweet. So, that's going to be something. That's just, again, back to kind of the testament of the quality and the reputation that we're starting to build. We don't have the big marketing budget of some of our competitors, and we know that. And so, we're getting creative on how to kind of scale the business up. Pool guy, for example, is a good way if we can get him to be an advocate for us. And he loves it because he has to service these things, right? And so if he goes to one of his customers that has a product that's broke, like he may have to go out there on the weekend and try and troubleshoot and fix it up. And so he knows, hey, if somebody has a Regen tub, like there's not going to be issues. I'm not going to have to go out there and troubleshoot it. So it's just kind of a cool story. And it kind of talks about, again, back to the quality of our product. So.
Absolutely, yeah. No, the cosign from the pool guy, that's a good little referral partner you got going on.
Right, yeah.
And
yeah, he's
also,
trying to get us in some other cool spots, so.
That's awesome. Also,
Yeah.
like a lot of those other tubs, all they are is basically sticking a logo on the same tub.
Yeah.
So you guys actually built this thing like, I want to create the best product. And it's evident just from, using it for multiple days in a row. We had like 15, 20 people just going in there. Never once were we like, is the water still clean? Like it was just rocking and rolling. So
yeah. Well, it's fun.
Good.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say what's funny about that too is when we deliver a tub, like when we set your tub up for that event, like there was not an ounce of doubt in our mind that it was going to perform. And I can't remember when the date was. I think it was hot, right? It was a super hot weekend, I believe.
Bro, yeah, it was hot. It was like June 1st.
Yeah. We had 0 doubt that tub was going to operate and perform for you guys. And I knew going in that you had planned on using it throughout the weekend with several people. So it feels good. Again, it feels good to be able to know that when we deliver a tub, like we can kind of check it off the box, and we know for the most part, we're not going to have issues with that and have to be dealing with a bunch of customer service and PR nightmare and all that kind of stuff. So
Let's play a little game. Before we play the game, I want to know, how do you correctly do a cold plunge?
I would say the correct cold plunge is the goal is to get your body to a shiver state. So obviously when you get in, and people have different ways of approaching and getting in the water. Some people do some breath work before they get in. I personally like to take 2 big aggressive breaths before I get in. And as I step in, I'm fully inhaled, and then I begin to exhale my breath as I sink into the water. I tell people all the time, the sooner you can fully exhale your breath in the cold water, the more comfortable it's going to be. A lot of people get in there and they tense up and they stay tense the entire time, and they're going to stay tense the whole time. They won't be able to relax in it. But as soon as you can get your breath under control and fully exhale everything you have, you'll be able to relax in there, even though it's cold and even though it's challenging. It gets to a point where it gets pretty comfortable. But over time, water's 28 times more thermogenic than air. And so over time, that cold water, whether you're at 36 degrees or whether you're at 55 degrees, that cold water is going to cool your body down. And eventually it's going to cool your core down, and your body's going to start to shiver. That shiver response means your core is cold. It means it's time to get out of the tub. For people who have never done it before, they may shiver at 55 degrees in 1 minute. Someone like me who's done it for a long time, I'm at 41 degrees, which is a good, comfortable temperature for me. And I typically shiver at like the 3 to 5 minute mark. And so it really depends. We get asked all the time, like, hey, what's a good temperature or what's a good time? It varies so significantly for everybody. I just say the goal is to get to a shiver. And ideally you want to get to a shiver within about 2 to 3 minutes, because that's enough time for you to get your breath under control, enjoy the water, get to the shiver, and then you get all the benefits of what the shiver does, which is, that's where you get all that metabolic boost. It's going to boost that brown fat, which is the good, healthy temperature regulating fat in your body, which is what you want. And it's going to burn the visceral fat too, which is that unhealthy fat that lines all your organs. So I would say that's the ideal way to cold plunge. It's easier said than done, right? People get in, they hyperventilate, it scares them. They feel like they have to get out because they can't control their breathing, but it's just part of the deal. They just got to kind of, work through it and just trust the process.
So describe this shiver, because I'm shivering before I even get in. I'm like, oh God, it's cold. My body's already shaking. So
Yeah.
when do you realize, like, oh, I'm at the shiver state?
The shiver state, I mean, you feel, right, you start shaking. You physically feel like your body's shaking. You don't want to get it to where it's uncontrollable, where you can't get out. You feel the shiver start to kind of creep on. And a lot of people will have, they call it the drop. So you're in the tub, all the blood is kind of protecting your organs, right? Your blood vessels are constricting, so it forces the blood all to your core. You start to shiver, and then what happens is you get out of the tub, all your vessels open up, and all that blood that was protecting your core rushes through your body and then back to your heart. And what it does is when it gets to your extremities are cold. So that blood cools off, goes back to your core, and it cools you down a little bit more. So you shiver actually a little bit more about 2 to 5 minutes after you get out of the water. So it's just one of those, like, as soon as you feel that shiver, you want to get out, knowing that your body's going to drop a little bit more afterwards as well. A lot of people mistake the hyperventilation with a shiver, right? Hyperventilation is just the breath work. It's hard. It takes your breath away. It puts you into that fight or flight response type of mode. Breathe through that hyperventilation. Again, as soon as you can exhale your breath, that hyperventilation's gone. Then you can enjoy the water until you shiver, and you physically feel the shiver. Your body starts to shake. You feel it, and that's when you want to get out.
Are you ever excited to get in?
Man, not really. It is. It's a love hate.
You're gonna lie to me.
No, man, it's a love hate relationship, and it has literally been mentally. It's just as hard now to get in as it was when I first started. Especially now that it's cooling off, right? And it's, when you get in and it's 115 out, it's enjoyable. It feels good. It's relaxing. When you step outside and it's cold outside and then you got to get in cold water, like the mental barrier, that mental challenge is It's real and it never goes away. And that's one of the things I love about it too, is it's always a challenge. It always sucks before you get in. And then the second you're in, you're like, oh, I'm so glad I'm doing this, you know? But yeah, I'm never excited for the getting in phase. Once I'm in, I'm excited for what I'm going to feel like afterwards.
100%. All right, editing team, make that a little real for us. All right, a couple more fun questions about the cold plunge. Head dunk or no head dunk, and do you do it before you get in or after?
That's a good one. A lot of different philosophies on this. Personally, to me, the head dunk is hard. If I don't start my plunge with a head dunk, then I can't do it. So I would say I head dunk maybe 25% of the time. I get in, I start with the head dunk. I'll hold my breath for maybe 5 seconds or as long as I can until I come up. You don't want to, you've seen some viral videos of people having, scuba gear on or whatever, little snorkel. You don't want to do that because you don't want your brain to get cold, right? And so I hold my breath for about 3 to 5 seconds, come up. It's a great way for you to quickly acclimate to the water. Again, to me, once I'm in the water, I can't go any more. Like I'm comfortable down to my shoulders. I'm not going to be able to go any deeper later on. So I need to start. Otherwise I can't do it. A lot of the times if I don't head dunk, I will kind of splash water on my face just to get kind of that same type of response. But a lot of people, they've got that strength to be able to start at their shoulders and then end with a dunk. It's hard for me to personally do that. So.
And then what's the lowest temperature that makes sense?
Ours get down to 36 degrees. And our cold tubs, we're moving a lot of water. Like our deal is we just move a lot of water. And we move a lot of water in it for a couple different reasons. One, from a user experience, it makes it more challenging. Because if you get in water that's not moving, your body's going to protect itself. It's going to insulate itself with a thermal barrier. And you feel like if you ever get in a pool in the wintertime, you jump in, if you're kind of like this, you feel like, oh, it's not too bad. And then you move your arm, you're like, holy crap, that's cold. So us moving a lot of water in the tub kind of emulates that water movement or moving your body. And so it breaks through your body's ability to protect itself. So it gets cold and that water movement gets cold. I would argue 36 degrees with our water movement is the most difficult cold plunge that anyone can do. It's more challenging than sitting in ice. But again, I think the temperature, it really just depends on the user. I'm at 41 degrees. I could go down to 36 degrees, but 41 to me is a good temperature that I can feel comfortable doing it. And it's not too difficult. And it's also kind of a happy medium for me and my wife. She wants to do a little warmer. So yeah, I would just say, for people starting out, we typically recommend hey, start at 55 degrees, see how that does, and slowly, incrementally drop it down a couple degrees a week or whatever at your own cadence. Till you get to a spot that's good for you. Some people get to 45 and they're done and they're happy at 45. Other people want to go as low as it possibly can go and stay there because they just feel like that's how they have to do it. So
for cold plunging, do men or women have an advantage over each other?
Man, I don't know. That's a pretty scientific question. I don't know. I know. I don't know. I know Huberman just came out with a podcast. Andrew Huberman, he's a big proponent for cold water immersion. He had a podcast recently where he was saying the ideal temperature for females is 55 degrees, just because the amount of hormone, the hormones going on in the female body, 55 degrees would be the ideal temperature. But we know females doing it way colder than 55 degrees. So I don't know. I don't know if there's an advantage one way or the other. It sucks and it's hard for everybody. So, I don't know.
It's going to be rough.
Yeah, it's going to be rough no matter what. Even 55 degrees. Like to me, it's like, yeah, 55 degrees is warm for a cold plunge, but it still gives you that shock feeling and it's still hard to get in. And so, I don't know if there's an advantage one way or the other. It's just do it.
And then the longest time that makes sense, because I think Dana White got pissed off recently because Conor McGregor was in there for 13 minutes doing a competition. And so is that a real thing? You should not do it longer than X amount of time?
Yes, I would say yes. I would, typically what happens is when you get past that hyperventilation, you get comfortable in the water. And some people like to turn it into a competition and stay in as long as they possibly can. There's a lot going on. There's a lot in your body going on when you're submersed in cold water. And even though it may feel comfortable, your body starts breaking down and it gets weak. And it gets to a point where it might be hard to get out of the tub because you can't do it. And there's actually a situation here locally with the fire department where a couple guys turned it into a competition, and one guy couldn't get out of the tub, and it almost turned in pretty catastrophic. And so I tell people, like, my recommendation is don't exceed 5 minutes, even though it may feel comfortable. Don't do it. But some people like to get in just to their waist because maybe their hips are sore, their knees are banged up, or whatever it may be. If that's the case, yeah, you could stay in for 10, 15, 20 minutes if you're trying to use it more of like you're icing your body. But if you're doing it down to your neck, I always caution people, don't stay in longer than 5-7 minutes. Even though it feels good, there's still a lot going on in your body, and it could be pretty dangerous.
Last quick question on the cold plunging. Before or after a workout, because I've heard, and maybe you can like just let me know if this is real or not, if you go work out and then go cold plunge, your muscles shrink. Is that true?
I wouldn't say your muscles shrink, but it does. They say it can suppress muscle growth and strength growth. But the argument to that is the amount of recovery that it gives you is going to allow you to push yourself that much harder the next day. And so you could offset the potential, the potential, whatever with the muscle recovery. And so, but there's studies that show doing it before a cold plunge is going to boost testosterone. And it cools your body down. And so if you go and want to do like a high intensity workout, your body's going to be able to go longer and harder because you're not overheating it because you started with the cold water. And a lot of people do right after the workout as a way to more quickly recover so that they can push themselves just as hard the next day. That study that says that it could stump muscle and strength growth recommended a 4-hour wait time before getting in the water. So, if your goal is 100% growing muscle and strength, they say wait 4 hours before you get in the cold water. But again, people can argue that and say, hey, I get more value with the muscle recovery. I'm going to jump in the second I'm done with my workout. I don't care if I stump my muscle growth because I know I'm going to make up for it with a better workout tomorrow. So
there you go. We solved that.
There you go. There you go.
Talk to me about your fitness and wellness center.
Yeah, it's called Modern Wellness and Drip. It's located in like Gainey Ranch area here in Phoenix or Scottsdale. It's a long story how it came about, but basically I was dealing with a major back issue and got introduced to a piece of equipment called Pulse Electromagnetic Field Therapy, PEMF. Basically what it does is it shoots electrical current through your body and re-energizes and recharges the cells at the body. But it also is a really good inflammation. It flushes inflammation out really good. And so that machine, I was going to a clinician and it was really expensive. I was going to him about 5 times a week, about $150 every time I went. And, but he fixed my back. And, after the back issue was like a 9-month issue, got to a point where I couldn't even pick up my newborn baby. So to me, it was worth it because I healed my back. But that got my wheels spin. I'm like, hey, how can I basically allow people to use this piece of equipment at a more affordable cost? And I did some research on what that piece of equipment costs and put a model together where we built it as a membership. And so we built out Modern Wellness and Drip, where we offer 12 different advanced recovery tools, PEMF being one. We have sound and vibration. Obviously, we have cold plunges. We have infrared saunas, traditional saunas. We have a full body cryotherapy chamber, red light, compression, massage. We have a whole bunch of stuff. And we built it in a way where it's membership based. Just like a gym, right? You go to a gym, you show up, and you pay your monthly fee and you do whatever you want when you get to the gym. That's exactly what Modern is. So we have members come in. We don't charge by the service that they do. We just charge them by the visit. And if they're in a membership, they have full access to go do whatever they want for an hour. We give them an hour. Usually people get about 4 to 5 services in that hour. And we have different protocols that people can follow. If they're looking for physical recovery, if they're looking for some mental stress relief, whatever it may be, we have different protocols for people to follow. And it's been amazing. It's been, our memberships, our members, they absolutely love it. We unfortunately had to shut down for a couple months in February and March because we had a flood. And so we had to deal with that. But what was really, really encouraging is when we opened back up, almost every single one of our members came back and they're like, you know what? We were coming every day up until you had to shut down. We didn't realize how good we felt until you took it away from us for 2 months. And they're like, we feel back to how we did before we started coming back in, before we started coming here to begin with. And so that felt really good because it kind of quantified the stuff that we offer really does make a difference in people's lives and helps them feel better physically, helps them feel better emotionally and physically and mentally as well. So yeah, that's the model. You should come check it out. It is unbelievable. You'd love it. It's a really good experience, and it's, we built it in a way where it's affordable, and you get great value for using all of these different tools.
100%. I'm back in town, so I'll stop by for sure.
Love it.
And then as we wrap up, man, talk to me about the growth of you also did a rebrand with the Cold Plunges. So actually I want to know, like, talk to me about that real quick. Like, what was the reasoning, and then what's the growth plan going forward?
Yeah, we our brand was initially Arctic Cold Tubs, and when we started the business, I felt like it was a good name. Did some due diligence. Unfortunately, there was a company that claimed that we were infringing on their trademarks, which we battled it and we fought back a few times. And I spent a lot of money fighting back, and even to this day, I still kind of disagree with their approach to it. But it got to a point where we have bigger things in mind than just cold tubs. And so Arctic Cold Tubs was our brand. We're working on some products that are not cold tub related. And so we felt like between the pressure that we were getting from this legal team, plus kind of where we were at in the business and working on these other products, it was a good opportunity for us to work with a professional agency with a brand name that we can grow into. And so we did it the right way. We hired an agency, did a full branding, effort. And it was good. There was a lot of different names, colors, fonts, you name it. And I'd never gone through anything like that before. So it's crazy to think about what goes into a brand. But ultimately, yeah, we landed on Regen Total Wellness, because we feel like it's a brand that we can grow into. So, Total Wellness being, if we roll out hot products or compression products or whatever it may be, it's going to fit underneath our brand name. And so, yeah, so we were excited about it. We launched the brand about 2.5 months ago. It's been a bit of a challenge just because, people were just starting to know us for Arctic Cold Tubs. And although we communicated and sent emails and did a full-blown, marketing campaign, paid ad campaign, Regen is almost a new brand, right? I mean, it is a new brand. And so a lot of people don't know, and they're not connecting the dots of, we're Arctic and now it's Regen. So we had a little bit of challenge with that rebrand launch. But we're in a good spot now. And I feel like we're clicking at a higher rate now than we were before the rebrand. So we're pretty happy with how everything's turned out. But that was, you think about, having to change your name and everything that goes into it. It's emails and socials and domains and everything on your website. And, and there's a lot that goes to it. But I am very thankful that is behind us. And now we can just focus on, continuing to move the business forward.
I love it, man. And I love the new name. Like it's perfect for your launch of other products as well.
Yeah.
So
thanks.
I want to ask you real quick, what is the main marketing strategy that you're using? I've seen a lot of people with quote unquote like products. They pay influencers, micro influencers, big influencers, paid ad campaigns, like you said. What is kind of the strategy that you're like, hey, let's try this and go all in on maybe this one or two strategies?
Yeah. I think, like I mentioned earlier, we don't have a huge marketing budget. We don't have outside capital. And so we have to be very, very smart and strategic with how we spend our money. We're on meta ads, right? Facebook and Instagram, we have to. Some retargeting ads. So if people visit our site, we hit them, we retarget them, and we have some really good creative people building those ads. And I think they do a really good job. We're also on Google. So if somebody's Googling, best cold plunge to buy, whatever it may be. But we know we can't outspend our competition. And so we have a very, it's still a lot of money, but it's a very minimal budget compared to what our competition's spending. So, and at the same time, like our product, it's a, $3,500 product or it's a $5,000 product. we can't afford to just give free tubs to everybody that asks. And just because you may have 1 million followers doesn't mean you're a great influencer for who we're marketing our tubs to and who's going to ultimately buy a tub. And we've learned, we've given a couple tubs away to people that just frankly just didn't deliver on what they promised. So we don't give free tubs away. It's very rare for us to do that. So rather what we do is we try and find people that are very invested in one, cold plunging, but also our brand and us, and want to help us take the business to the next level. And so what we do is we basically, what's worked for us recently is we have a few people doing this. They buy a tub, we give it to them at a discount, and then they just help promote it. And they give us we give them a discount code, a discount link, basically set them up as an affiliate. And then once they hit certain targets, they're going to get paid, and they're going to get paid more than if we were to just give them a free tub on the front end. But it's a way for us to kind of have it be more of a performance-based play, and then ultimately reward that influencer, that affiliate, more so than if we just gave them a tub and paid them a retainer on the front end. So it's been a win-win so far. And again, we've got a few folks out there that have just been killing it for us. And so now the challenge is, let's go find more people like that. We're also starting to get into more of like a B2B approach. And so we've got a couple different dealers, brick and mortar and online dealers, that we're experimenting with. We have a tub here at a local hot tub and outdoor dealer, and they're fantastic, and they've been killing it for us. And he's ultimately going to potentially get us into some other of that same business, just outside markets. And so it's just a lot of trial and error, and that's what I love about the business, is you get to just pull all these different levers, see what works, and if it works, just go harder into it. I'm sure that applies to any business, but it's fun to do it because you can see a direct correlation with if I'm going to pull this lever, boom, here's what the result was. Okay, let's go harder.
I love it. I think super smart with the influencers and how you're doing that. So you mentioned capital as we wrap up. Is that something that you're looking for? Are you looking for capital? Are you looking to raise money to expand? Kind of fill me in on that.
Not yet. I think we're in a pretty good spot. We have kicked the tires on it. Right now we're selling about 50 units a month. So we're at a pretty good, comfortable position. We don't want to become Plunge, which is they're the main juggernaut in our space. They're selling 1,000 units a month. But we also know what their issues are and the headaches that come along with being that, $100 million brand. And we don't want to be there. But I do think we have the capacity to easily double our business real quick if we wanted to. And so now, we're trying to explore, do we want to just continue to incrementally grow the business, or do we want to bring in outside capital and grow it real quick and be happy? So, right now we're not looking for capital. But I'm not saying we're not going to, in the near future. So
Adam,
that door's always open.
Yeah, and let me know, because I got some good connections in that space.
Yeah, for
Adam,
sure.
This is fun, man. As we wrap up, just tell people, how do people reach out to you? How do people find you?
Yeah, our website is regentotalwellness.com. That's REGEN, regentotalwellness.com. Check out our products. We are very responsive. We have a chat bot. We have a team that monitors it, but I also monitor most messages that come through the chat bot and also the emails. So reach out. I personally give my cell phone to most of my customers, or most of our customers have my direct cell phone. And so I'm always accessible. But I'm also pretty busy. I've got a couple of small kids and stuff as well. So trying to balance the life of
fix your cold plunge anytime you need it.
I don't have to do that anymore, which is nice. But I built the first 25 units in my backyard.
Wow.
And actually we just upgraded one of our customers. They moved on to our biggest and best model. And so we went out there and took out their old tub. And I'm like, man, this thing was built in my backyard, but it was still kicking butt. They just wanted the biggest and best. And, but yeah, luckily I don't have to do the building anymore, and I don't have to do the servicing much anymore. So it's kind of nice to get beyond that and now just focus on, growing the business.
Absolutely. Adam, man, this is fun. Can't wait for this to come out. And again, Man, appreciate you guys sponsoring that immersion season 2. It added a amazing, benefit and just a whole feel to the event. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Let us know next time you're hosting that event, and we will more than happy come put another tub out there.
My man, Jesse Ray, Growth House Podcast, signing off.